When the 911 operator picked up the phone that morning, they weren't expecting calmness. But the man on the line spoke softly, almost politely. "I killed her," he said. He gave his name, he gave the hotel, and he waited. When responders unlocked that resort room, they found a scene that made the dispatcher's voice crack. A young woman lay on the floor, brutally injured, evidence of a violent struggle all around her. And then the detail no one on that call had heard yet. She was 7 months pregnant. That horrifying discovery turned a quiet confession into one of Wisconsin's most disturbing cases and raised the question investigators still struggle with. Why did Brian Cooper kill Alisha Bromfield? And why did he turn himself in?
Alisha Bromfield was born and raised in Plainfield, Illinois, in a close-knit family with 3 brothers and a sister. Friends and family described her as cheerful, compassionate, and determined, a young woman with goals, plans, and hope for the future. Her family was deeply involved in her life. They supported her work in the garden department of a Home Depot-affiliated store, encouraged her independence, and were aware of her pregnancy. The baby's father was a man Alisha had met in college, who unfortunately refused to be involved in the child's life. Alisha worked to support herself and prepare for her future, a position she had held for several years. It was there that she met Brian Cooper, her supervisor. While the relationship was ostensibly professional, Brian began to develop an unhealthy and obsessive interest in her, an interest that would later prove fatal. Brian Cooper, 37 at the time of conviction, also lived in Plainfield, Illinois. Little is publicly known about his early life or family. His upbringing remains undocumented. What is documented is his professional history. Brian worked for a contractor that supplied employees to Home Depot garden departments. Over time, he advanced into a supervisory role, eventually managing multiple locations and staff in northern Illinois. His time as a supervisor was marked by repeated complaints. Employees reported harassment, intimidation, and aggressive behavior, including verbal insults, threats, and at times throwing or slamming objects. Despite these reports, he retained authority over staff, including Alisha, establishing a dynamic of control and power that would later prove fatal.
On August 18, 2012, Brian invited Alisha to accompany him to his sister's wedding in Door County. Though hesitant, she agreed, concerned that refusal could jeopardize her job. She tried to maintain her boundaries, but Brian's controlling nature created tension throughout the trip. The wedding itself appeared ordinary. Photos, laughter, and celebration, but beneath the surface, unease grew. Alisha was aware of the power imbalance, and by the end of the night, she resolved to reject any further advances once the trip ended. After returning to Sand Bay Beach Resort, tragedy struck. In the early hours of August 19, 2012, Brian attacked Alisha while she slept. He strangled her, ending her life and a life of her unborn child, and later committed a sexual assault on her corpse. Immediately following the murder, Brian walked into a gas station in Sister Bay, Wisconsin, and made the 911 call confessing to the killing. This voluntary confession set the investigation into motion and allowed authorities to trace the events of that night. When authorities arrived at the Sand Bay Beach Resort, the room bore the chilling evidence of violence. Investigators described the scene as disturbingly chaotic. Sheets twisted, furniture disturbed, and personal belongings scattered across the floor. Signs of a struggle were apparent, reflecting the fatal attack that had taken place. Alisha's body was found on the bed, showing evidence of strangulation and assault, with injuries so severe that investigators struggled to describe them in reports. The disarray told a grim story of the final moments of her life. During the investigation, authorities also documented a troubling detail: Brian's reported use of spy cameras, allegedly installed to monitor Alisha secretly, both during the trip to Door County and previously in Illinois. While details of the footage have not been publicly verified, this evidence highlighted the obsessive, controlling mindset that preceded the murder. Brian Cooper was charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 1 count of third-degree sexual assault. The first trial in 2013 ended in a hung jury, after 1 juror refused to convict. The defense argued that voluntary intoxication impaired his ability to form intent.
During the retrial, prosecutors presented extensive evidence. Witness testimony detailing Brian's harassment and aggressive behavior toward Alisha and other employees, documentation of his supervisory authority and abuse of power, sentencing references to spy cameras demonstrating premeditation and obsessive behavior. In May 2014, Brian Cooper was convicted on all counts. In July 2014, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without parole, ensuring he would never harm anyone again. From the moment Alisha's death was confirmed, her family became a driving force in seeking justice. Her mother, siblings, and close relatives worked closely with law enforcement, providing detailed accounts of Alisha's life, her personality, and her workplace interactions. They helped investigators understand her relationships, routines, and the subtle signs of harassment and control that had been building prior to the fatal trip. Throughout the investigation and trial, Alisha's family remained unwavering. They attended every hearing, cooperated with prosecutors, and made sure that Alisha's voice was represented in court. Their persistence ensured that key evidence, including the reports of Brian's prior abusive behavior and the alleged spy cameras, was brought to light during the proceedings. Their involvement played a critical role in ensuring that Brian Cooper was held fully responsible for his actions, ultimately helping secure 2 consecutive life sentences without parole. Alisha's death shook communities in Illinois and Wisconsin. The case highlighted the dangers of obsession, abuse of authority, and unchecked harassment in workplaces. Her family's dedication to justice ensured that her story was told and that Brian Cooper was held accountable. Their efforts not only brought closure to the immediate tragedy, but also became a reminder of the vigilance required to protect loved ones and prevent abuse from escalating into violence. Alisha's life, though tragically cut short, continues to serve as a cautionary tale, a stark example of how control, obsession, and abuse of power can have devastating consequences.